Hello and welcome to my channel, I Win to Lose Gaming. So this video, it's going to be a bit of a hybrid between a showcase video as well as a guide video for this new character, Yukong. Let's be honest about Yukong. She is quite a complex character when it comes to trying to optimize stuff for and to provide advice for. So I'm just going to do my best to share with you guys what I do know about her and what I plan to do with her in terms of her build. But really quick, a word from today's sponsor, Tower of Fantasy. They're back and more fantastic than ever with a huge update coming on June 27th. Enter the brand new world, Domain 9, and explore Farewellville. This new area draws inspiration from ancient China and combines that with advanced technology to create an Eastern-themed cyberpunk city. Farewellville comes with a ton of new puzzles, rewards, and even a new world boss. And you'll get to speedwalk with the new relic, the Speedwalkers. You'll also continue on in the story as you follow the guidance of Lan and step into Domain 9 to continue hunting the Abyssins to help Lan save the world. And that's not all. A brand new character, Liu Huo, will be available. She clearly brushes away the competition. Liu Huo diligently guards Farewellville and she fights with a giant flaming calligraphy brush. And for returning players that might feel a bit lost, there's a new mentor system where you can find a mentor who will help you catch up. You get rewards as well. And there's a brand new smart servant system too, where you can have a companion like Mia to help you in combat. So what are you waiting for? Smash that link down below because 3.0 is the perfect patch to play Tower Fantasy again, as you'll get plenty of luxury rewards to speed up your adventure. Huge thanks to Tower Fantasy for sponsoring today's video. Right now I think it's honestly a bit too early to really say like what the quote-unquote best thing is for her, like what her best build is, or anything like that, because out of all these characters, and in particular a lot of Harmony characters, Yukong is a special one in the sense that it's very difficult to kind of pin her down and figure out exactly how you want to build her for every scenario. And we can take a look at her traces for that. So we can see here that her basic attack, she just has a standard basic attack. However, her talent allows her to do an additional 60%, at least at talent level 6, which will go up, when she uses a basic attack and hits an enemy with it. And also, she'll do twice the amount of damage in terms of the toughness gauge as her basic attack normally would. This does have a 1-turn cooldown, so you are incentivized to use her basic attack and then use her skill and then back to her basic attack for that reason. Now the next thing to talk about is her skill, which gets to be quite complicated. For her skill Emboldening Salvo, you really have to understand or learn what it means for an ally's turn to end. And this thing here is absolutely key to understanding Yukong's kit. So when she uses her skill, you'll see here that this little knob here now has 2 filled out icons. Every time that an ally does a turn, like when Silverwolf does a turn here, this is going to go down by 1. We can see there that now it went down by 1. And when Luocha does his thing, you will see also, and now that buff is gone. So next up is her ultimate, Diving Kestrel. If you use her ultimate while the buff from Roaring Bowstrings is up, your entire team gets a ton of crit stats. You basically just want to use this as much as possible after you use her skill in order to maximize the amount of uptime you have on both the massive attack buff and this massive crit buff. Now we have to talk about what exactly triggers the end of a turn. And I've got a few video clips that I actually want to show you guys that indicate what the end of a turn is now. So we understand how it works on the most simplistic basis, but what if I told you you can get a lot of actual turns out of that one turn? And the first way to demonstrate this is with this Yukong Zila clip. Basically, ultimates and Zila's free turn don't count as the end of a turn. So Zila can go 4 times with a single stack of Yukong's Roaring Bowstring buff, because she can get a kill with her ultimate, and then she can get a kill with her actual turn, and all those free turns again don't count as an end of a turn. Now with that out of the way, what about other things that provide free turns? Su Shang also gets a free turn after using her ultimate, but unfortunately this free turn doesn't work the same way as Zila's free turn does, and the turn counter ticks down. Now, what about follow-up attack? If an ally triggers Herta's follow-up attack, Herta's follow-up attack will still get the buff of Yukong's skill. In other words, the turn didn't actually end before Herta's follow-up attack came out. But sadly, it doesn't really work this way with the Lightning Lord, since that thing is basically its own character. But if the Lightning Lord does go, it does not consume a stack. However, it will not get the stack in the same way that Herta did in this example. And finally, you can always interrupt the end of a character's second turn with another character's ultimate. For example, in this clip, before Bronya's skill fully ended and Bronya's turn is fully over, then we can see that Seele still managed to get the buff from Yukong's skill. There appear to be three ways that I'm aware of in terms of how to extend a turn, with the first being to use an ultimate, literally any character's ultimate, and the second way being an instant follow-up attack like Herta's. And the third way is literally just Seele's talent, which gives her a free turn when she kills an enemy. So let's go through another example just to really familiarize ourselves with all these mechanics. So right now we can see that my Seele is going after Luo Cha and after Ting Yun. What that means is that Seele should not get any buff from Roaring Bowstrings from Yukong. However, let's go ahead and do her Roaring Bowstrings real quick, and then we'll use her ultimate as well. So now we have both the attack buff and the crit buff for the entire team. Now we're also going to buff Seele up. Let's give her Ting Yun's buff. We can see that using Ting Yun's ultimate does not decrease the turn counter. However, using Ting Yun's skill here will decrease the turn counter. And finally, we have Luo Cha up next. And if we attack with Luo Cha and don't do anything, it will indeed end the turn as well as ending Yukong's buff. Sorry, get the Fox Girls mixed up a bit. But what if we actually use his basic attack and follow it up immediately with Seele's ultimate? We can see here that Seele still has the buff from Yukong here. She still has the one icon, even though really Luo Cha's turn has already ended. He's done, but because Seele kind of interrupted it, now she actually gets this turn. Let's go ahead and just use it real quick. And it just did a casual 121,000 damage, but Seele also still has the free turn from her talent as well, so she's going again, and this buff hasn't worn off. But after Seele does this next action, indeed it should actually deplete this. And just like that, it did end quote-unquote Luo Cha's turn, which we did a turn extension by using Seele's ultimate, which we know extends the turn, and finally using Seele's talent, which further extends the last turn. So yeah, now this last attack won't have the buff. So hopefully this example helps you understand this technique a little bit better. This is all honestly very confusing, and yeah. Okay, so I had to actually redo this entire section because I realized that her major trace, this one, which regenerates 2 additional energy every time an ally takes action, it actually includes the turn where Yukong actually uses her skill or ends quote-unquote her turn. So this means that she actually gains 6 energy from this instead of how I initially interpreted this as 4 energy with this. Taking that into account, we now have a few additional changes to my original recommendations, which you guys won't see because I edited out. So we have 3 light cones that are really important to consider when it comes to calculating energy for Harmony characters, with the first one being the meshing cogs. This being a 3-star light cone means that you will easily get it to super imposition 5. And the next light cone, which is really important to consider, is the memories of the past. It basically does the same thing as the meshing cogs. However, we can see that it being a 4-star light cone means that you're less likely to have a lot of super impositions for it. And the third light cone, of course, is but the battle isn't over yet, the 5-star Bronya light cone, which is an extremely good light cone, all things considered. This one provides 10% energy regeneration rate, which will also be taken into account. And we have a few key energy breakpoints, with the first rotation being a BBSS rotation, which is 2 basics, 2 skills. And in order for this to be achieved, to have her ultimate back up, you will need 11.11% energy recharge, which can be fulfilled by a single energy recharge rope. Now for the 3 basics, 1 skill rotation, which is nice because you actually are quite skill point positive, you can use the energy recharge rope plus a super imposition 1, but the battle hasn't begun yet, or whatever Bronya's light cone is called. And after that, you can even do a BSS rotation, which is 1 basic, 2 skills. And the reason why this is so powerful and why I recommend it is because having her buff uptime be literally 33% better is absolutely huge for your team's damage output. But with that being said, you need a whopping 34% energy recharge, but that can be achieved by an energy recharge rope plus the Von Whack 2-piece plus a super imposition 1, but the battle hasn't begun yet. However, there is another really important light cone to consider, well, 2 light cones. It's the memories as well as the cogs. Now, as super imposition 1 and 2, you're going to want to run the Von Wax as well as an energy recharge rope in order to maintain the 3-turn BSS rotation for Yukong. However, as super imposition 3 and above, of course, you only need the energy recharge rope in order to achieve this. So this will free up the Fleet of the Ageless for you to be able to equip in order to further support your team better than before. Now, it is worth considering that her Eidolon 2 honestly changes everything, and I did not do the calculations for all the potential variations of what her Eidolon 2 actually means for her energy recharge situation. If someone else wants to do that and throw in some recommendations down below, that'd be hugely helpful. So anyway, this leads me to 4 recommended builds for her at Eidolon 0. Starting with the super imposition 1, but the battle isn't over yet. My recommended rotation for this is the BSS rotation, as well as the 2-piece Von Wax, and you can see the main stats that I have there as well. I forgot to mention this earlier, but with this super imposition 5 cogs, you can actually run the BBS rotation with the Von Wax. So if you prefer 1 more skill point generation per rotation over the attack buff from the Fleet of the Ageless, the Von Whack is a good choice for a super imposition 5 cogs. And the super imposition 3 cogs, you can also swap the Von Wax out for the Fleet of the Ageless in order to provide just another smaller buff to the team, which is always nice. And finally, as super imposition 1 cogs or memories, I recommend the Von Wax. That way you can maintain the BSS rotation. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with the BBSS rotation, which is, takes 4 turns unless you get hit by the enemy, blah, blah, blah. You guys know external variables for getting your ultimate uptime. And finally, any other light cone, you're kind of stuck with the BBSS rotation, as well as an energy recharge rope, but that does allow you to simply run the Fleet of the Ageless as well. So other light cones have a lot of other benefits, like providing much larger buffs to the team than the cogs or the memories light cones do. So that wraps up what I've learned about Yukong. Unfortunately, hopefully I didn't leave you with more questions than answers. This is just with my initial impressions of her. It's going to take a while for us to fully understand and optimize her, because it's a huge mess when it comes to trying to optimize her for speed values. You can tweak her speed a little bit here and there. I highly recommend for her to be just a little faster than your main DPS, and to have your supports either be faster than both of them or slower than both of them, in order for you to have the best chance for your main DPS to actually get her buffs. However, things get desynced all the time. Speed values are changing mid-battle. So many different things affect speed, like Eidolons, equipment, even enemies can mess with your speed, turn order, apply statuses. You guys get the point. Turn orders are an absolute mess and generally difficult to control for. So that's why Yukong is one of these characters that's pretty difficult to use. Until you get her Eidolon 6, at which point you could just use her ultimate right before your DPS goes, and they will get an absolutely massive buff. But yeah, until we get her Eidolon 6, we're going to have to play her like the way I've kind of been mentioning. And, once with her Eidolon 6, she's going to be much more universal support. But for now, it's hard to, use her properly. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys have even more questions after watching this video. Perhaps I've managed to answer some of your questions. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Win to Lose, signing out.